So, lads, this is not great news, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously look they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So, if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offensive power. But there was one player that looked like she was going to be a perfect player to have beside Reese and Cardoso. And if they were to get like a Courtney Vandersloot in free agency, I do think that's still a possibility of getting a Courtney Vandersloot to have like a really good point guard. But, if she goes and wants to go to Minnesota or something and win a championship, if you're Chicago, you could be left with Erica Wheeler, which is not the worst thing in the world if you got left with Erica Wheeler, to be honest. I think for the Sky, she'd be a lot better than she was for the Fever. She was pretty good her first season for the Fever, and that's what I think she would be for the Sky. But according to WNBA Insider, that Illinois native Jewell Loyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously, they didn't keep Kennedy Carter. And it's looking like one player, obviously, that's been in Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots is Seattle Storm guard Jewell Loyd, who was the leading scorer last season, not this season, and wasn't great. She wasn't great last season, but Annie Constable, and she's the one person that I will just take her word for it in general. Like, Satu to Indiana is still on until she says it's off. She's like the Woj, the Shams of the WNBA. And because she actually reports honestly, the Chicago Sky fans hate her. The Sky fans hate her. She works obviously for a Chicago newspaper, but she's willing to say, free agents don't want to come to Chicago because they don't have a practice facility. And she's even what the positives of the team are Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese, but it's with the historic, there's a reason why free agents don't want to come to Chicago. And because she's actually a journalist and not just a hype woman, they want to get rid of her. But it says here, she requests trade out of Seattle where she spent her entire W career. The idea of homecoming for the Lincoln product seemed enticing for many, but in the months since the request was made, talks between the Storm and the Sky have cooled substantially. The expectation is she will not land in Chicago. It says here that two-time champion Courtney Vandersloot is the top target to fill the point guard position. And look, Courtney Vandersloot will be huge for this team. She will be. I actually do think a lineup of Courtney Vandersloot, you do need just somebody at the two. You're probably going to draft Sonia Citron with that pick, maybe Tahina Paopao. But Vandersloot, Citron, Onyenwere, Reese, and Cardoso, that team's not making the playoffs. They're just not. It's not a bad team. There are worse teams, but it's still not making the playoffs. You've got you've got a shooter who's a rookie, and then you've got Vandersloot who can kind of shoot, and then you've got Onyenwere who can sometimes shoot. So it's going to be really tough. But this is big for them. It says here, interesting possibilities we're considering are Alicia Gray, Ariel Atkins, and Benijah Laney. I think Benijah Laney Hamilton will almost certainly be used in a Satu trade. But if you can get Benijah Laney Hamilton, that's huge. If I was a Chicago Sky, one of those three players, I do think Alicia Gray is going to cost you a bit because it's not like she was, not that she is cheap the right way to describe it, but she cost the Dream quite a bit from, was she either the Mystics or the Wings? I can't remember, but she wasn't cheap to sign. And if you are the Dream, you're probably not giving her up without three. That's just, even for a 1 year rental, Alicia Gray's an all-star. You're probably not getting her without three, because if I'm Chicago, maybe I try to make some sort of a trade to get another pick in the draft, because Alicia Gray, I don't know if Alicia Gray is worth giving up three for, but you're also not getting Alicia Gray without three. Ariel Atkins is a tough one because you're going to have to use Mariah Jefferson to match salary. Ariel Atkins will probably cost Mariah Jefferson, because obviously the Mystics are tanking, so it's a little bit easier to get her than to get Alicia Gray. It would be, say, Mariah Jefferson, 10, and your 2026 first round pick, which is a swap with the Minnesota Lynx. Like, that's probably what it would cost for Ariel Atkins, even for a 1-year deal. It would cost you like a really late first round pick and what's going to be another late first round pick from the Minnesota Lynx next year. So 2 late first is probably what it's going to cost for Ariel Atkins. And then also you're getting off Mariah Jefferson's contract. So that's probably what it would end up being. But it is an interesting one. What it says here, Ray Burrell isn't worth trading the number 3 pick for, but is a player Pagliocca could end up asking about. I think Ray Burrell is going to be nearly impossible for this guy to get because her value, because she's still on that rookie scale deal for another year, she's a restricted free agent then, so she's not quite the same. It's not quite a 1-year rental if you want to keep her. She's a really good player who the Sparks are going to really want to keep. So I don't think she's worth giving up 3 for, but you're not going to get her for 10. Like, that's the level of player Ray Burrell is. She's a 6'2" shooting wing. You're not going to get her for 10. So realistically, like, if I am Chicago, people are saying, talking about Dejanay going to Chicago, being like, oh, they've signed Dejanay. It's like, man, Dejanay's a restricted free agent. She is restricted. The only way she leaves Connecticut is if Connecticut don't want to pay her. And Connecticut are going to want to pay Dejanay. Connecticut would rather pay Dejanay than pay Bree Jones. So make it out what you will. But it is an interesting one for free agents. I do like Courtney Vandersloot. I really like Vandersloot. But if you strike out on Vandersloot and she goes somewhere like Minnesota, I wouldn't be that opposed for this guy taking Erica Wheeler. I think she actually would be pretty decent there. Other players you can look at that wing position is if you're this guy, in general, you got to look overseas. You always have to look overseas because that is an extremely important thing. Is you can find those players a lot easier overseas, the wing shooters, because shooting and defense in America, it's very rarely taught. Like, most of the good shooters don't play defense. Most of the good defenders can't shoot in the WNBA. That's the problem. The 3-and-D role is non-existent. So, yeah, like, if you're this guy, because like you don't want to start Dane Evans, because Dane Evans is very good as a bench option. I think she'll be pretty good next year for them, but you don't want to start Dane Evans. So they really need to fill, even if you get Sloot, they really need to fill that 2-guard position, and I don't think Lindsay Allen does it. I don't think Lindsay Allen, as that like Kennedy Carter light, does the trick. But your best like-for-like replacement for Kennedy Carter probably was Jewell Loyd. It's looking like she's going to go. So if you're a Chicago Sky fan, yeah, it's not good news for you. It's not good news. And for everyone being like, oh, we don't want Jewell Loyd. No, Jewell Loyd had a bad year. Jewell Loyd is really freaking good. She had a bad year. And especially for what the Sky need. Like, yes, if you're looking to win a championship, your inefficient shot-choking guards aren't really going to help you out too much. But if you're looking to make the playoffs, they will, especially when you've surrounded them. If you could have gotten Loyd without giving up 3, and you could have surrounded them with like Onyeabor, Angel, Camilla, Sloot, Lindsay Allen, Banham, and probably Citron. You've got your length, you've got your shooting, you got your defense. So yeah, I think she would have been a pretty good fit, but obviously if it meant giving up 3, probably not worth it.